Hello everyone. Apparently I can't get solo. At least let me rephrase that. I can't get a good solo game. My teammates keep surrendering or the game crashes or whatever. But here we have the comprehensive guide to ADC, so here we go. Alright, so once again, just like with the comprehensive guide to support, the start of that, um, we're going to be talking about both the basics of this, well, not even the basics, but the actual ramifications of this role, the things you want to think about, as well as for Hachiman specifically. Now, I actually want to take a moment to shout out Hachiman very specifically as an unusually useful hunter for primarily three reasons. One is he is the only hunter in the game so far who can self-restore his mana. You might say Cupid can as well, but he actually requires an ally to pick up the hearts in order for him to get mana back. Hachiman just has a passive increase in MP5 whenever he lands shots. His second most useful facet is the ability to shoot extended range shots, 4 of them specifically. This is incredibly useful for tower poke, and something that technically only Xiblanca can imitate with his ult, but that's temporary, whereas you can bust out 4 arrows that are extended range whenever you basically have that ability off cooldown, and since it's his first ability, it's off cooldown far more than it's on cooldown. Third is his second ability, the flag that he throws on the ground, that increases attack speed, making it even easier for him to take towers, structures, wipe out the Titan, whatever objective you're trying to take, Gold Fury, Fire Giant, whatever. That boosts the attack speed of Hachiman and all allies that stand in that aura that the flag gives off. So it is incredibly potent. He is an incredibly powerful hunter. Now, I'm going to start with Death's Toll for an extremely specific reason. The enemy team is a little tankier than I would normally expect to see. I'm going to explain this. Let me see. What should I go for next? Probably I should be going for Transcendence next, because I'm going to be looking to do that damage. Anyways, there's a couple of things going on here that cause me to very specifically grab Death's Toll, and why I'm going to go for a non-crit build here. Why I'm going to be going for a pen damage build. Primarily the tipping point here is the Anubis and also Kumbhakarna's passive. You see, pen builds tend to run slightly higher attack speed than crit builds, because Deathbringer typically doesn't bring to bear a whole lot of attack speed. It actually brings none to bear. And if you build Rage, that also doesn't provide you with attack speed either. But there are a couple of items in pen builds that, well, more items in pen builds that really provide a substantial increase in your auto attack speed. So those are generally some reasons why you're going to be going for the delightful pen build here. Anubis being able to passively increase his protections. Not by much, but by enough where you would want to get a little bit more penetration online is also of concern here. 1 HP, really? Okay, I'll throw mine down then. And we probably, yeah, we beat them very slightly. I've missed some shots there. They're going to be actually clearing this probably a little faster. Also, Hachiman's main weakness is a hunter. I just sang his praises earlier. His primary weakness as a hunter is his really subpar wave clear. In all honesty, the flag does not hit a large area, so that makes it really tough to wave clear. It is possible to hit the whole wave with that flag. It's just very difficult, especially if you're trying to maintain a certain distance for safety, which typically you are going to be doing. However, we've somehow outpaced. How do we manage this? He immediately shells, which is fairly smart, because she was going to die if he hadn't. Well, she was probably going to die if he hadn't. Right now I'm just trying to get that poke going on here. Alright. Yeah. So close. She played that really well with Soul here. If I had my extendo shots, that would have been a really grand time to have them. We can actually take their, Oh. I don't want to be taking that damage. Alright, let's get aggressive with this. She's gonna heal up off of that. Yeah, she's able to sustain herself with HP. I'm sustaining myself via mana, so this is gonna be a fairly interesting little fight here. Once the supports eventually leave. Okay. I miscalculated that, but he whiffed that, so that's fine. That's fine, Shroud of Mana. That's okay. I should have gone aggressive. We probably could have killed him right there. That's okay, though. Oop, I'm taking too much damage from her. Oh, she needed to hit that on me, didn't she? Okay, pull this minion aggro here. Get a nice advantage here. Good. Use Death's Toll to heal myself. Excellent. Get some poke on them. Again, pull the minion aggro in. Okay, their jungler died to a jungle camp of all things, which is fine. If they actually are going for our purple buff, they're totally insane. I don't think they have what they need for that. Health-wise, Kumbhakarna sure doesn't. They did not go for it, I was going to say. That would have been absolutely insane. He's been saving that this whole time. I mean, kudos for having the patience to save it for this key moment. That's pretty impressive, actually. Nice. Let's get some nice shots in here a little early. Nice hit. That was the last of her mana. I am in some pretty serious danger at this point, though. Barely missed all that. That's fine. I was actually able to hit the whole wave with that, which is fantastic. I'm healing back up in terms of HP here. That's... Excuse me. Nope. We are out of here. We are out of here. I wish I could have saved Ares. I'm gonna just have to go back. I can't survive out here right now.
Let me meditate on that.
I'll grab some healing potions because that's gonna be my main issue, and some wards. Why do I not have a fifth? There we go. Go ahead and cancel my long-range arrows so I don't waste them. Ideally, I would have liked to have stayed out in lane long enough to get Transcendence. Obviously, that wasn't going to happen. She's going for Bancroft. It's going to be mildly problematic, I think. But nothing too difficult. I am a level ahead of her because she had to back and miss some waves there. I really need to... Yeah, here he is. He's going to... Nope. I probably actually wasted that. I was not in as much danger as I thought I was going to be honest. I thought that Soul would be much more aggressive on that, considering she had almost a full wave, but she really dropped the ball on that one. I don't know if Kumbhakarna was expecting her to actually participate any more aggressively. They're going for the Harpies. I don't want to push up that wave right now. I'm just going to grab this and hope that Kumbhakarna notices that Ares is not in lane, because I really need Kumbhakarna out of this lane right now so I can box the Soul, because right now I do have the advantage. I'm gonna go ahead and activate a health potion here. There's that, that's fine. And we're just gonna come around the safe way so I don't get any unnecessary poke by Soul. Which she's trying to do, but she just goofed it. I'm taking more damage there than I would have liked. I took a lot more damage there than I would have liked. She's very likely going to try to ult me in order to kill me pretty soon. I'm going to want to take this very carefully until I get my dash back up, although I could always use my ult. I'd like to use that aggressively if I can. Okay, good. She's used her wave clear now, so I'm pretty free and clear to... There it is. Good. That was the only real concern I had at that particular point in time. And I can outrange her fairly well. So now I've got my ult still available. She does not have hers. She just wasted her wave clear. Oh, I got a poke. Okay. Not bad. She's gonna go for the... That's fine. Notice she's almost... no, she's actually doing okay on mana. Okay. No, use the ult. Thank you. My ward went down. That's what happened there. Didn't notice. That's why warding is so important. Just poke you out at this point. That's all I can really do. Take poke. Yeah, you're not exactly subtle there, Soul. That's fine. There goes your wave clear again. You're almost out of mana, and I am not. Which is going to give me a distinct advantage pretty soon. Because you can't self-heal once you're out of mana. But I can keep on... Oh, he's coming over for this. Good. And I have my ult in 10 seconds. Oh, I can't commit to that yet. I don't have my ult up. I'm sorry. What I am going to have in a couple of seconds is my Transcendence. Again, notice how, though, I'm still... She's probably ahead of me in gold because she's been pushing me under tower. No, I'm still ahead of her in gold somehow. How am I ahead of her in gold? I should not be. What is this? Hello? That's weird. I should not be ahead of her in gold, in all honesty. I whiffed that first shot pretty badly. Why are we fighting over there? Okay, I was going to say, we really shouldn't be fighting over there. Yeah, I can leave at this point. Grab Transcendence. Start building those stacks and out damaging her. And my next move is actually going to be Aussie. I need health potions. There we go. I'm not too concerned about my mana because I'll be able to get more of that as time goes on. Bakasura, can you please drop? You are going to drop. Thank you. The hero I desperately needed and absolutely don't deserve. I was kind of expecting and hoping for a gank by my boy, and he did not follow through with that. That's okay. It would have been nice. He wasn't exactly in great health condition, though, so I can kind of understand why he didn't. But it would have been... He could have at least spooked her, you know? You just wasted your ult for absolutely no reason. What are you doing, Soul? Yeah, I'll tank this for a bit. That's fine. I have health potions. Yeah, now you're backing up. I'm assuming you know I'm building Transcendence, right? Please tell me you're at least aware enough to have checked that. Please? I'm just waiting for you to do your big slap. No, you're not going to do it. Alright, good play. Called me out on that one. I completely whiffed that, though. And then as time goes on, yeah, she's going to get the bigger spike with Bancroft's there. But that only translates to 20%. Well, when she has full passive, she actually gets more, but fair enough. See, what she doesn't realize is that because she's killing my minions, this makes it easier for me to get my stacks rather than having my minion wave steal them. You're already almost out of mana. Really? Nope. Here comes Ares to cause some trouble. He's looking for revenge on Naja, probably. Alright. Nice ult. Good ult. That's a good defensive ult she played there. That was actually a really nice ult that she did there. That's fantastic use of that. And that's something that actually speaks volumes about her actual ability to strategize. That's pretty impressive. But you're going to notice that I'm just able to keep up with Soul even being under tower just because of my ability to attack at range. I'm basically just able to indefinitely outrange her. Incredibly potent. It really can't be overstated how useful it is to just have that extended range. I can start working on a wave or finish off a minion or two from a much safer distance than she can, which is hugely potent. Also, you'll notice again that I'm primarily saving my ult as an escape. This is because, first off, you'll probably notice that my dash is incredibly useful as an offensive weapon. Second off, my ult basically makes me Naja immune, totally and completely. He can't do anything to me while I'm ulting. He might be able to hit me with a ring, but that's about it. So, it's a guaranteed safe way of getting away from Naja. Just gonna use my extended shots here just so I can get some bonus damage on this and kill this even faster. I'm gonna let her clear that wave right there because I want this right now. She might actually be going for hers right now, to be honest. No, she's not. She's clearing the wave. That's fine. We'll be done with this in a couple of seconds. We're gonna go ahead and use my last health potion here. And... hello. I'm surprised you didn't use that earlier, but okay. Good play. I'm going to actually have to use that pretty aggressively there, because otherwise that ult was going to absolutely slap me down. You missed that opportunity. And you let that hit you for some reason. She's probably going to take my tower here. Nope. She's taking a lot of free poke for this. She did take my tower. Oh, she did kill me. I misjudged that. I thought I was a little farther away from that explosion than I actually was. That's okay, we can recover. While we are going to be a little bit behind here, this is mostly going to be her catching up. Bakasura is going over for the catch. Well, let's see if this works. Did I just move off of him? I did. He's not going to catch... unless he's got ult, he does not have ult. There's Naja as well. Now, this isn't a huge setback. She's going to be able to, like I said, catch back up. I'm not too concerned at this point. This actually means basically that I get to guaranteed build my stacks in peace, which is going to be a bit of a problem for her. This is probably why she was able to actually clear a little bit more effectively. That attack speed is really nice for her. And I now have Asi, though, as well, so I'm able to both restore my health and my mana very easily and very quickly. I'm going to let Bakasura take that wave. He is a little ahead of Naja, but he's also, you know, he's there. I'll take this. I'm missing a tower. I'm not in any danger of needing the waves or anything like that at this particular point in time. I just want to be able to at least stay even with Soul at this point. That is my goal here. Actually, if she doesn't come back... there she is. I was going to say, if she doesn't come back, I'm going to just straight take her tower at this point. That'd be easy. Now, you'll notice that I've been kind of flipping back and forth to some extent with increasing my war flag or increasing my extendo shots. This really depends on the situation. I didn't know he had sprint. No. Shoot! Ah, that was me throwing that away. I got way too aggressive. I was too desperate to kill her. That was entirely me being an idiot. Don't do that. Don't go under tower. I was like, okay, Bakasura is going under. I think we can get this. No, we cannot get this. We cannot. That was a stupid thing for me to do. Trying to decide what my next move should be. I'm kind of feeling he shouldn't have committed to that after I died like that. That was not the greatest move. I think I'm actually going to go for Shin Size at this point. That'll really give me a nice boost in damage. Let me see. At this particular point, Janos is absolutely slaying. I'm behind slightly, but it's not that big of a deal. She is going to pull ahead of me. She's ahead of me by 1 level, of course. I'm only 6 stacks away. I'm only 1 level down. How am I compared to gold? She's 1100 ahead of me. Ooh, that's really rough. It's because of all the jungle camps she's been able to get and keeping me under tower. Ah, you hit too hard. Ah, okay. Come on, son. Oh, how did I not kill him? Oh, I missed. Oh, good, he got him. Okay. He got soul too. That's going to put me back where I need to be in terms of my golden experience compared to soul. So that's fine. That's going to help me catch up. Alright, he's trying to actually kill me. That's interesting. Is he aware that I have Ozzy? No, I should be okay. As long as Anubis doesn't come over, I'm fine. He's the only one right... I mean, Kumakarn is not going to kill me right now. I have, like I said, I have Aussie. I've got Transcendence. I'm working on Chin Size. I'm really not that worried about it. Alright, I'm expecting Soul to be coming back over here pretty damn soon. I'm going to try to get more golden experience at this point by going for this here Harpy. Alright. Now, he's holding the wave. He's doing that specifically at this point, so that way I can't get that wave without putting myself in danger of being attacked by Soul, because right now she would definitely have an advantage over me. She would have health. She would have... Well, I have mana. She would have health. So he was absolutely correct that I wasn't going to be able... I wasn't going to be willing to push my luck there. I probably could have, knowing now where she was. But at the time, not knowing where she was, that was a very smart move for him to make there. Is she pushing up the wave? Really? Yeah, she is. Because she hasn't crossed into the jungle. Oh, she did at the midpoint there. No, she's completely vanished off the face of the earth. Where the hell is she? I'm guessing she's going to that fight, but I have not... There she is. Let me see if I can do something with this. I don't think they need me, though. I'm going to go ahead and push up this wave. I really don't think they need me right now. There she is. Not today, Zerg. Nope, she's going to win. Yep. Oh, so close. I need Toxic Blade because, yeah, she's just healing up and she's got Telkines. Okay, I have Chin Size. I'm going to need Toxic Blade next. And then, what am I going to use as my last item? That's going to be... I need Dominance, of course. What am I even thinking? Might need Dominance or Toxic Blade first. That's going to be the really interesting question. Oh, with the amount of healing that she's going for, I'm going to have to say Toxic Blade. Naja has a self-heal as well. Anubis self-heals, obviously. King Arthur didn't build... King Arthur did not build Soul Eaters, so that's a plus at least at that particular junction, but I'm going to go for a Sentry Ward here. There's Soul, yeah. They need to back out of mid lane. That's not going to happen. She's back ahead of me just from that one kill. Yeah, she's only about 900 gold ahead, so I am catching up at that term at least. I need to clear this wave before I help them in mid. Otherwise, they're just going to take the tower. Okay, now I have the larger waves. That's going to be all that really needs. Now I'm going to rotate to mid. Okay, they just killed... Hello. I'm just going to heal up off of this. I might as well take this. Okay, good. And then I'm going to go for a surprise attack. Or completely whiff everything. Cool, that's also fine. Alright, that's alright, that's alright. Yeah, we need to take her out. I don't think we're going to be able to catch up to her, though. Nah. Oh! That was some impressive work, though. Yes! I needed that. I desperately needed that. We can possibly kill him here? No. Alright, that's fine. We can definitely take Old Fury, though. Soul is gone. Naja just respawned. Ares is going to go stop him, yeah. Nice, nice. Okay. Nope. I'm overcommitted. I'm dead. Yeah. I almost took Anubis with me, but I shouldn't have been there. I didn't get control of my ult fast enough. I kind of went wild there. Alright, now we're going to need Toxic Blade, because that's definitely what's keeping a lot of them alive, is their self-heals. This also increased my attack speed, which is something I'm going to want for chin size. Obviously, the higher your attack speed, the better off you are. I might actually go... I might not go for... I was originally going to plan on going for Dominance, but it might be better for me to go for Silver Branch, which is going to give me slightly less in comparison. To actually give you a comparison point, this is going to give me 10% plus an additional 15 on my basics, which gives me 25% total, whereas the Silver Branch bow is going to give me 20% across the board and increase my attack power. I didn't even use my sentry, but that's because there was already went down over there, I think. But anyways, that isn't really terribly important right now. At this particular point, I need Toxic Blade to prevent the healing, and I'm going to want Silver Branch bow. Can I... This Janus is absolutely doing fantastic. I didn't need that, but okay. Now, can we fight this? They're backing off. They're not doing anything with this. They're not backing off. They went for the oracles? That's a bit odd. Yeah, you can see I already have 2.2 attack speed. Peekaboo. I don't think we're going to take him, but he just let me hit that. Alright. Yeah, I'm out. I don't want to fight Anubis. I don't want to get ulted by Anubis, more specifically. And Hercules just does not care. Alright, we're going to back out of here. Not the actual one. I want this one. But let's take this really quick first. So you observe I have 2.2 attack speed right now. That's going to get even higher. Oh, okay, we need to save Janus, please. Now you'll also notice that even my extended shots have the chin size, which is incredibly potent. Okay, easy, easy. What are we doing next? If we could take Kumbhakarna, that'd be great. That's fine. I'm going to try to save Janus. Janus does not need saving. But we do have King Arthur behind us, which is a strategic concern. Oh, weird. I need to get out of here. This is going to get very ugly very quickly, I think. I can shred you. Don't try me. I can shred you too. Nope. Oh. Oh.
I'm getting
Heal up off of this. That's the beautiful thing about Aussie. You activate that passive and you are absolutely healing for tons. I just need soul to get out of here. No, we're not going to press that. Wait. My health isn't low enough to trigger this? Oh, it is. There we go. Alright. That's fine. Good, good. Get some gold here. Not sure why I pronounced that so strangely. But we're okay. Why is Janos up there? Janos, I know you're doing really well, but this is kind of ridiculous, guy. Yeah, that was not a great decision. I mean, Naja was alive, and Naja's really good at 1v1s. Janos isn't supremely good at them. We're actually going to go for Death's Temper here. I'll explain why in a hot second. Alright, so why Death's Temper as opposed to the other one that heals health and mana? Well, two reasons. First, right now I need the damage against specifically squishier targets. You noticed I was really shredding through King Arthur and Kumbhakarna, and that's before getting large amounts of pen online. I don't even have Silver Branch Bow yet, and I was still really tearing through their health. I don't need any help against them. And honestly, I'm not going to be able to out-heal Soul at this point, even with the anti-heal. What I really needed at this particular point in time, very specifically, is... What I really needed at this point in time is the ability to out-damage Soul, which Death's Toll is going to... Not this. Death's Temper is going to give me. Okay? That's a percentage increase on my auto-attack damage, which is very potent.
more dangerous than a lack of compassion.
You know what? We're just going to go for it. No, we're not. No. I take that back right now. Now we're going to attack the Gold Fury when we have a really interesting looking fight going on here. Alright. I was going to say, he's not going to be able to escape from that, because we had Ares there. Ouch, I did not want to take that tower shot, thank you. Why am I still taking tower shots? Thank you. I'm just going to take the tower, I'm going to let them fight. This is my job as an ADC, is to take the structures. That is one of my primary jobs. The other one is to take out the enemy tanks. I was focusing on my job. They didn't need me to kill tanks right there. They needed me to take the structure, and I did that. I'm just trying to heal off of them. Alright. There we go. I have Aussie, I don't need help right now. I need death and destruction. We are now out of here. We need to leave. They're all about to come back up. We are not going to have the time to take anything else. Well, okay, they're not all going to come back up, but the damaging ones are, and we are in no condition to fight that right now. I'm almost dead. Hercules, one of our main tanks, is almost dead. Bakasura backed. I just was not interested in continuing that fight at that point in time. Right now, I just want to get gold. I want to get experience. Alright. Now, also, this is something that I want to talk about very specifically with Hachiman. You'll notice I built Transcendence early game. I could have built Bloodforge instead as a huge source of power. Why didn't I? Primarily its cost, and it's relatively useless early... Well, its passive is useful, but not really in the early game. You get a health shield that boosts your movement speed every time you get a killer assist, but in the early game, when you get a killer assist, usually it's your laning opponent, and there's no one else really in the area to threaten you. Sure, maybe if the enemy jungler is really on your case, like Naja was in this particular instance, yeah, absolutely possibly, that Bloodforge shield could really come in handy, but it's going to take you a really long time to get that Bloodforge in the first place, because it's one of the more expensive physical items in the game, first off, And second off, again, the passive really doesn't mean much early game in most situations, so it's really not worth the high cost, even if it is giving you some lifesteal and high power. 75 power is nothing to sneeze at, but it's not going to be like, oh, 15% lifesteal is going to really make a difference here. Aussie is much more important, and Transcendence really allows me to, again, get away with not having to build the other Death's Embrace. I don't have to build that because I have MP5 regeneration. I have lifesteal in Aussie. I don't need Death's Embrace to keep myself topped up. So, it's just not necessary. I really should go back and grab... Oh my goodness. I need to go back and pick up... I'm not going to be able to. It's too late. We're already in this fight. I need to grab Silver Branch Bow sooner rather than later, though. I'd really like Silver Branch Bow. I might not even get to Silver Branch Bow if this fight is the last. I just ulted specifically to kill Soul. I just didn't want her hanging around. She's the big threat on the board for my tanks. Notice also... Oh my goodness, there I go. Naja. Now, Naja did a really key thing there. He died afterwards, but he said, hey, look, I see Hachiman's right here. I can take him. Killed me. I would be their main source of eliminating the Titan. We're just going to go ahead and finish the build off here. We're going to grab Temporal Beads. We're going to grab Aegis of Acceleration. Now, could they win the game right here? Possibly. The problem here is that Ares and Hercules aren't going to have the kind of damage output. I don't know why I'm keeping this angle. Aren't going to have the kind of damage output for this. And Kumbhakarna can stall for a pretty good amount of time. And he only needs to stall for like 15 seconds. Yeah, see, Ares is already calling retreat because he already knows that we don't have the damage right now. Oh, the fireman just showed up. Maybe they can do it. If Janos had his ult, that'd be a win right there. Here's Soul. Nope, they actually won. Okay, nice. So, as you can see, I had a really hard time in the early game against Soul. There are a couple of very specific reasons for this, okay? It actually has nothing to do with the fact that she's basically a magic ADC. That has nothing to do with it. A lot of people are going to, by default, say, oh, it's because she's a magic hunter, basically. That's not really why she's so strong in the early game. The reason why Soul is so strong in the early game, and this is actually something I will be talking about more in depth when I do Soul, the reason she's so strong in the early game is because her passive increases her attack speed and the amount of magic power that her auto attacks pull from. Because, basically, I can't believe he built Pumbaa's Dagger. I'll talk about that in a hot second. Basically, what the first part of her passive, the increase in her basic attack percentage, isn't that important in the early game. But if you're not sure of what I'm talking about, basically, all mages and all guardians only take 20% of their magic power from... only use 20% of their magic power for their auto attacks. So let me give you an example. So Soul had 642... I'm going to round up to 600... I'm just going to break this even, actually. I'm going to say 640 magic power, right? So only 20 of that is actually being applied to her auto attacks. Alright? If you're doing the math at home, then you'll know that this is very specifically 128 power. So out of her 192 damage per auto attack, 128 of that is from her magic power. Alright? Under normal circumstances. Her passive increases her attack speed and the amount of, the percentage that she pulls from her power for her auto attacks. Early game, that percentage of power used isn't important because she's very likely going to have less than 100, and it's really not that big of a deal. What really kills in the early game is the attack speed boost, because that just means she's shelling out more auto attacks moment by moment, and in the early game, the reason why magic ADCs have such a reputation for being early game ADCs is actually more of a twisted myth here. Because it's not so much that they are early game specifically, it's more that physical hunters do better in the late game. This is actually part of the reason I built Transcendence. See, physical power translates 100% to auto attack damage. You'll notice I'm doing 341 basic attack damage, excluding Chin Size, excluding Death's Temper, 341 baseline auto attack damage compared to Soul's 192, 193 if you're rounding up. You can see the difference there. Essentially, because mages have a much lower scaling on their auto attacks compared to their power, even though they can build more power, or more easily build power, hunters still can build enough power and get that 100% conversion and do much better in the late game. So if anybody describes a magic ADC as being early game, that's basically an oversimplified version of what's really going on, which is that physical ADCs just perform much better in the late game because they get that 100% power conversion. Because as the game goes on, they build more and more power, whereas Soul or any other magic ADC doing the same thing is getting less and less power out of that. For example, when I finished Transcendence, I got 40 power right off the top, plus whatever conversion for my mana once I fully stacked this, but I got 40 immediately. So when Soul finished her Bancroft's talent, she got 20. More if she had her passive increased. I think it increases up to 40% if I'm remembering correctly, but I could be wrong. It might be 45. I can't quite remember the specific percentage, but it's 40 to 50%. Yes, that gives her, that still maintains a slight edge here, but once I built Aussie and she had Ring of Fate, now we're starting to look a little more even. Really, the only thing at that point that gave her the advantage was a serious permanent boost in attack speed once she got her passive boosted up, her heat increased. That was what the edge was there. Once I got Chin Size, you'll notice I started turning this around because she was also ahead of me in gold because of her early game advantage of her attack speed. Soul is a bit more of an earlier game magic ADC, specifically because of her attack speed, but it's not something that you can just broadly apply across the board. For example, Freya does really well in the early game, but that's because, again, the same kind of principle. She's pulling bonus magic power on her auto attacks when she uses her abilities. That's basically what's going on there. You'll notice that Freya goes really hard in the late game because she actually scales pretty well, but that's a conversation for a different day. So that's why I had such a hard time early game against Soul. While I could get an attack speed with my flag, to limit myself to that area with Soul being able to use her Flame Wave to hit that small area of my flag made that too risky, which is why you almost never saw me use my flag like that against her when we were 1v1ing, or boxing as the term is. When we were boxing, I very rarely used it in that way. Only if I knew there was no chance of escape did I really hard commit to that. A lot of the times I was just using the flag to clear the wave a little bit faster. And that's why. It was just that AoE that she has would just wipe me out if I tried to stand in the flag zone. And I needed to kill the minion wave more than anything else anyways. So that's really what was going on there, okay? Again, once I started hitting the late game, you can see I made a great recovery. 2 of those kills you could describe as me stealing from Hercules, sure, but that would still leave me with 7-5 compared to Soul's 5-5, and doing a pretty healthy amount of damage as well. Let's look at the actual details. I did player damage of 39,000, and I actually eked her out by 4,000 right at the end. And that's, again, that speaks more to physical ADCs doing much better in the late game than magic ADCs. Again, Freya being the only exception. So that's going on there. So that's really something you have to keep in mind if you ever are playing a physical ADC against a magic ADC. Your early game is probably going to be pretty rough. More by dint that they're less penalized by their 20% scaling than, and you don't have your power to pull the 100% scaling from, right? You just don't have the power yet. They don't need the power at that point. As the game progresses, you start building that power and getting stronger and stronger autos, and they're building the same levels or slightly greater levels of power, but not getting the same amount of auto attack damage. That's when you're really going to start to create that distance. It's also fairly interesting, and this is a huge problem I have with Magic ADCs and why I generally don't like playing Magic ADCs. I will do episodes covering all the Magic ADCs, but the real flaw of Magic ADCs, and you can actually see this in Soul here, is incredibly hard to acquire penetration for Magic ADCs. Now, some people are going to contest this knee-jerk reaction. Okay, but hear me out for a second. Behold the Souls build here. Right? No pen, no pen, no pen, no pen, 10% pen, but this isn't specifically boosting her auto attacks. I mean, it's increasing her damage, it's giving her lifesteal, which is nice and all. That's beautiful, but it's only 10% penetration. And then she's going into, obviously, Obsidian Shard, which gives her 20% flat, and then her first ability does 20% extra. The problem with that is that her next abilities which don't affect towers and phoenixes. Now, sure, for eliminating enemy tanks, that's fine. But when you are playing a Magic ADC, you are almost forced to make a choice. Do you want to build Obsidian Shard like Soul did here, and more effectively damage the enemy tanks, which is part of the ADC's job? That is one of the two main things ADCs do, is kill the enemy frontline. Or do you go for option 2, build Rod of Tahuti with the attack speed increase, get a lower penetration amount, but have higher attack speed and do a little bit better against structures? As a physical ADC, I did not need to make that choice. I just have 20% right here, no problem. If I really wanted more penetration, I very easily could have sold something and grabbed dominance and just absolutely slapped. Alright? And even then, even with that, she only would have had 30% here, which is only 10% more, but she had no flat penetration. I had 15 flat here, and I had another 15 flat here. I had 30 flat penetration, plus the 20% from Silver Branch. I was doing fine. Also increased basic attack power from Death's Temper. She had an increase, she basically had the magic equivalent of Chin Size, which is fine. Ring of Facade, which is okay. It does increase your attack speed, and it does increase your power, which is nice, but that's literally all she had for attack speed. Everything else is kind of general purpose, except for Obsidian Shard, which is very specifically ability-based, okay? Magic ADCs have to make a choice on which one they want to focus on. Enemy tanks or structures. I did not need to make that choice. You'll notice I was tearing through the enemy tanks. I was tearing through the phoenixes. Now, I personally did make a bit more of a choice here. I did choose to focus a little bit more on the enemy tanks, on eliminating enemies, because I chose Toxic Blade. Again, I could have chosen Dominance to really wipe out structures faster, and I would have done just as well against the tanks, but I wouldn't have been able to contest Soul, Naja, or Anubis with that. So that became more difficult. Now, Soul actually did make the correct choice here. Obshard against our team composition is the stronger choice. Bakasur, every time he eats a minion, he gets increased protections. And of course, we have Hercules and Ares. He was also splashing in some protections with Hide of the Urchin. So he was going for that mildly tanky version, which justified a need for focusing on the enemy damage more. So her picking Obsidian Shard is actually the correct choice. As I said before, the Soul really did actually know most of the time what she was doing. She was a little too aggressive with her ult, would be my only criticism here. But the build is fine, the playstyle was overall pretty fine. Really great player. This was the correct choice. It's just that because of the nature of being a Magic ADC, a choice had to be made that I didn't have to make. Sure, again, I could have dropped Toxic Blade for Dominance and probably done almost as well, maybe even better. But at that time, we were ahead. There's a lot of healing on the enemy team. Toxic Blade was going to do me more good in this particular situation. If they didn't have so much self-heal, Dominance all day long. Easy, no problem. And I would have been wiping out the structures even faster. So, finally, before I kind of conclude here, I already talked about Bloodforge, but why didn't I go for Devourer's Gauntlet? Why did I go for Transcendence instead? I kind of went into this early on in the game, but it essentially comes down to the fact that I knew because of Anubis's mildly higher protections than normal, I knew that I would want more penetration. I would want more damage to punch through and eliminate him. Um, and I knew that crits weren't going to be the way, because obviously the more protections the enemy has, the weaker crits are. Which is why I went for a pen build here. You could do Unicorn build, which is a combination of crits with chin size. That's kind of tough to really go for, since now it's so easy to hyper-focus into one or the other and make it really work well. I don't really do the Unicorn build much anymore. But I knew that I would also want Toxic Blade because of all the self-healing. Again, Naja, Soul, and Anubis all self-healed, and I was personally expecting King Arthur to be busting out Soul Eater. I'm kind of surprised he didn't. But if he had, that would have been more self-healing that I wouldn't have wanted to deal with. So Toxic Blade was something I was already leaning towards, and since Toxic Blade does not provide any power, I needed the extra power from Transcendence that Devourer's Gauntlet wasn't going to bring me. That was only going to bring me 65 tops. I'm pretty sure it's 65 if I'm remembering correctly. They keep changing it a little bit every other time I turn around. But not only was this giving me 40 power flat, but it was also giving me 3% of my mana as well. And of course, I had the glorious amount of 2,000 mana on the nose, and 3 of that converted is good old 60. So I was getting roughly 100 power out of this. Approximately speaking, it was probably going to be closer to, no, it's exactly, yeah, it was exactly 100 power I was getting out of this. So that's fairly impressive, obviously. So that's why I went with Transcendence, because I already knew going into this match that I was going to want Toxic Blade later on in the game. That was going to be something I wanted. I built Aussie so I could actually compete with Soul. Obviously, she can throw down that little fire circle at her feet and heal up off of that. I needed something to counteract that. I needed something to heal in case Anubis really was able to slap me down. I needed something to keep up with Naja's heal. I wasn't really concerned with keeping up with the tanks because, quite frankly, I'm supposed to be gearing up to kill them in the first place. Again, one of the jobs of ADC. It was just the 3 damage dealers I needed Aussie for. And I picked Aussie specifically for the additional 30% lifesteal that happens every 15 seconds. That was what was going to keep me alive. I needed the bonus lifesteal because I didn't have crits to accelerate that. Usually when you have lifesteal, you want to build crits because obviously you're going to be healing more from the crit than you would with a regular auto attack. Aussie is usually what I'll use in pen builds like this one because that bonus physical lifesteal really comes in clutch a lot of the time, even if you don't have the crits to back it up. Chin size, of course, for the pen build. Toxic Blade, we already talked about. Silver Branch, I built because you can already see right here, 2.5 attack speed. This is going to be boost in power every time I use my flag. That was really where I was going with that. 20% penetration. It was great. So that's really what I was going with there. If I was going to go for crits, I would have absolutely gone for Devourer's Gauntlet because, newsflash, the absolute insane amounts of lifesteal you can get off of Devourer's Gauntlet with crits is absolutely insane, especially if you combine that with Atlantis Bow and you have a ton of lifesteal. You're very difficult to kill, but you need a squishier enemy comp, and because of the Anubis basically existing, I wasn't going to take that risk. I could possibly still have built crits and gotten away with it, but it would have been a risk, and I knew that the pen build wasn't going to be a risk, so I went with that. Basically is what happened there. Now, as an ADC, just before we move on to a couple of final notes here, as an ADC, even if you're doing really poorly in lane, that doesn't really matter. Once you get full build, you're pretty much all set. Unless you are just grossly behind, which I never fell that far behind. I was, I think at one point, tops 2 levels down from Soul. I was 1100 down in gold, which was unfortunate, which was bad. I'll be straight up honest. That was not good. But I knew I could recover from it because I wasn't so far behind that I couldn't recover, as proven by the endgame stats here. Is basically what that comes down to. You really just need to survive. Get some poke where you can. The whole point of poking the enemy ADC is to prevent them from trying to do basically what the Soul was doing, which was keep you under tower. That's not great because you lose gold. But again, you can still recover even if that does happen, as I demonstrated here. So no matter how ugly it gets as an ADC, just don't give up on yourself. Farm as much as you can, poke where you can, get that full build. Once you hit that full build, you can really turn it around. Unless the enemy ADC is already absolutely curb stomping your allies, and in order to do that, they would most likely have to be a physical ADC for that to be really concerning. Because again, late game, most Magic ADCs fall off. So if you're against a Magic ADC, you're having a really rough time, don't sweat it. Just, again, outlast them. In the late game, when you get your full build, you're going to be able to do what I did here and really turn it around in the end. And that's something I think a lot of ADCs forget, and I think that's something a lot of other players forget as well. Against a Magic ADC, don't worry about your ADC's score. Let them farm. It's okay if they die against a Magic ADC early game. It's going to happen. Most of the time. Let them farm. Let them turn it around in the late game. They will against a Magic ADC, except Freya, who's a nightmare. One other final quick note, which would just be, I want to talk about the King Arthur's starter item, and why the King Arthur did not do so great against Hercules. There are a couple of reasons for this very specifically. One, this was basically shooting yourself in the foot as a solo lane. This, on paper, sounds kind of useful. The problem is that solo lane right now has only 2 camps they can consistently reach without losing waves. Well, I say camps, it's really the mono camp and the single Naga thing next to the Fire Giant. That's it. That's all they've got. This doesn't come into effect that often as a result. So already King Arthur's behind just by building this. Hercules goes for the Warrior's Axe, which allows him to heal health and mana every 10 seconds he hits King Arthur, which was going to allow Hercules to keep pace in terms of health, outlast the King Arthur's huge amounts of damage, and stay well ahead of King Arthur in terms of mana. Alright, because, again, Warrior's Axe, Sundering Axe doesn't, but Warrior's Axe gives you back some mana. King Arthur had 0 source of mana until Breastplate of Valor with the MP5. Very low 10 MP5, mind you. Whereas Hercules was draining mana, by the way, not even just restoring it, taking it away from King Arthur. And obviously restoring his own mana, doing the same thing. Just the King Arthur, very likely. I wasn't paying a ton of attention to that side of the field for obvious reasons. I was getting really pressed by the soul. But the King Arthur, very likely, was unable to keep pace with Hercules' mana restoration, especially if Bakasur went over there and stole even just 1 early game mana buff. That would put King Arthur well enough behind to basically nullify that whole fight. Okay, that's very likely what happened. I don't know if Bakasur ever stole the blue buff on the enemy team, but definitely the King Arthur lost due to mana troubles because of the wrong starter item. Even Bluestone Pendant would have been better because at the very least King Arthur could have early game fought Hercules away from the wave and then just froze the wave, but because they picked Boomba's Dagger, they weren't able to do that. So that's all I'm really going to talk about here for this one. The only thing I think I really didn't cover, because I was talking more about Hachiman and matchup and boxing, was jungle camps. And for the most part, that's more of... The reason why I didn't talk about jungle camps that much is because, as you could see from the early game and mid game, Sol wasn't letting me, which she played that really well by preventing me, because we both knew that if I could get to the late game that I was going to be able to outdamage her. We both knew that. She was trying to keep me as low as possible for as long as possible to try to prevent that. It's still pretty tough to prevent, regardless of who you are as an ADC, as long as you're physical and they're magic. But I just really didn't have the opportunities. But you'll notice that when I had a moment, when Kumbhakarna was freezing the lane next to the tower line, for instance, instead of going for the wave, I went for the jungle camps instead. And generally the best time to go for the jungle camps is, lo and behold, when the enemy just when the enemy's dealing with the wave near their tower, because you don't want to be that close to the tower as an ADC unless you're actually intending to attack the tower itself. If you're not intending to attack the tower and you're not trying to press the enemy ADC under their tower to keep them low on gold, you shouldn't be there. And I wasn't going to chase down Kumbhakarna, the enemy support, who was already not doing great at the time. I wasn't going to chase him under the tower, and I wasn't going to try to fight him that close to the tower. That's just asking to die. So I left, I went for the jungle camps because I wasn't getting the wave, and that's basically when you go for jungle camps. Can you get to the enemy wave? If the answer is no, go for any living jungle camps nearby. Please ward carefully. This is actually why it's very, very important for ADCs to ward. More so than a lot of other roles. The ADC has a fairly interesting and staggering variety of camps to go for. You've got the Harpies on this side, you've got the enemy Harpy, the enemy Naga, near behind the Gold Fury, your Naga behind the Fury, your purple buff Oracles. If you're feeling really aggressive, you can go for them as well if you have the time. You've got a lot more than what the solo lane has. Solo lane has 2. Maybe 3 if you go for the double Harpies near the blue buff. So it's very, very important for you as an ADC to ward, and I want to emphasize that I didn't ward heavily enough, but I actually had a decent matchup here of the Naja versus Hachiman. Again, all I need to do to get away from Naja is ult, which is why, again, I mentioned this at the time, but that's why I kept my ult up a lot of the time, is just so that way when Naja shows up, boom, I'm out of there. Same thing. If you don't have that option, say you're Apollo, or say you're on her, and your escape is a little less certain than Hachiman's ult, yeah, ward even more aggressively. You really can't afford to not be warded up as an ADC. So yeah, that's my thought processes. That's why I did the things that I did there. With that being said, thank you all very much for joining me. If you liked this, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, please ignore me. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, ideas, suggestions, or requests, please leave them down in the comment section below. And thank you all very much for joining me, and have a great 24 hours.